Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another exciting Game Thrifter video. I decided to kind of turn this into a series. I did the Xbox 360, I did the PS3. These are games that used to be, I guess, maybe not as common, but now they're becoming very much difficult to kind of come by and find. And the original Xbox is such a cool console to collect for, and the majority of the library is pretty common and easy to find, but I thought it'd be fun to do an original Xbox video showing off some of the more uncommon videos. So if you ever do come across some of these and maybe come across them at a good price, it'd be a good time to actually buy them and kind of enjoy them, because that's what I like about it. It's the thrill of the hunt. It's not so much even just about playing the games. Yeah, it's kind of fun to track down a game that I wanted to play and be able to play it, but it's the physicality of owning that game and having that to my collection and taking care of it. I love that. It's a thrill, and I know a lot of you are exactly like that as well. So in the comments, let me know, what are some of the Xbox games that you have, what are some of the rare Xbox games that you have, and what are some of the games that you'd like to have in your collection. But this should be a fun video nonetheless. Let's go ahead and get started. So first up is a game that most people probably don't even remember, but Robocop. And this is a first-person shooter that came out and is loosely based on the Robocop film series. But the interesting thing is there's a new Robocop game, or newer, that came out recently on modern console that's really, really good as well. And so it really kind of led back to going back and playing this older one, which, as you guys can see, or maybe you can't see, I've actually gotten a new way to capture footage off of my original Xbox. I think it looks better than ever. Hopefully you guys agree and kind of see the quality bump. And if you do, let me know in the comments as well, because this is just like some new tech that I've been kind of toying with. And if it works out well, then I think the quality of my videos will go up quite a bit. But anyway, Robocop is something that I grew up with in the 80s. You play as Robocop, who was obviously kind of a law enforcer in Neo Detroit, and there's this drug that's out on the street causing chaos, and you have to kind of investigate the local people, and obviously the corporation OCP, the creators of Robocop. They are trying to push their own type of agenda and stuff like that. But it's a typical kind of first-person shooter. The one thing that I would say was kind of annoying was inverted controls, which took me a little bit to get used to as you can get into this. Like, I haven't played this game in a long time, and the controls were very much took me a little bit to kind of get a hold of. But here's the other thing: it's kind of a difficult game. So the progress only saves after completing a full level. There's no mid-level saves. There's one primary level objective, which is basically complete the level. There are some secondary and bonus objectives, but yeah, basically you're blasting through enemies in this kind of open-ended urban area, and it's you got your arm-mounting machine gun. There's missile launchers, grenade launchers. His iconic Auto 9 pistol. It also has a lot of ammo in that. He's powerful, he's destructive. It's very much Robocop, so I think that's really cool. So he's got high durability, like tank damage. He's got cool targeting system. The heat vision for enemies is kind of run and gun and kind of go against hordes and things like that. Levels are notably large in this, so they could take a little bit long to complete, and restarts at the beginning or after death can be a little bit challenging or frustrating, but you really kind of pick it up pretty quickly. So it is faithful to the movies in tone and like the aesthetics and stuff like that. It really does make you feel like you're a cyborg cop from the film. Obviously it can get a little bit repetitive, and the save system is a little bit weird, but this is one of those games, if you do come across it, you'll definitely want to pick it up and play it, because it is a lot of fun, and it is a little bit more pricey than your average game these days. Next up is a real fun one, The Punisher, and this one is a little bit costly as well. I mean, it's not over $100 or anything. It's probably about the cost of a new game on a PS5 or Xbox Series at this point, but this game came out in 2005 and is a third-person shooter, and it really features heavy violence and gore, dark humor, and it does have voice acting from Thomas Jane, who is reprising his role from the 2004 Punisher film as Frank Castle. So it's pretty cool the way they kind of tied it in. And this was one of those games where when I originally got it, right, for the original Xbox, which I still have my copy, it was really cool because it was like you expect a licensed game to be complete and utter trash, and this game wasn't that at all. It really kind of invented some cool things. So you're playing as Frank Castle, whose family was murdered by the mob, and he kind of turns into the vigilante known as the Punisher, kind of waging a one-man war on crime. And the game itself kind of has these cool flashbacks where Frank is being interrogated by detectives, which he's kind of recounting his recent bloody crusade against criminals. So it's a kind of loose mix of the film and some Marvel Comics elements as well, and it involves, you know, some various gangs and iconic villains. It's got like Bullseye and the Russian, and, you know, some bigger threats as well. Very dark tone, over the top violent, very much stays true to the characters' kind of judge, jury, and executioner philosophy that everybody's kind of come to know and love. Again, there's some exploration, there's interrogation elements, which were amazing, right? So there's certain characters, you can find them, you can threaten them, you can use different elements around the map to kill them and things like that. There's a lot of different places you're going to, like crack houses, yeah, all the fun at the crack houses, right? Docks, mansions, and there's like clearing the enemies from these levels to progress and things like that. It's linear but semi-open in some environments, and you got to gun down lots of criminals, and you can use the environment very creatively, interrogate for intel or bosses and stuff like that. Standard shooting with the ability kind of to use enemies as a human shield. So yeah, they're like a meat shield, sort of like Gears of War, and you can also perform like these quick kills and things like that if you really need to kind of go about and do it. You can also grab enemies, drag them to like special hotspots in the environment, and there's a lot of them, and you can use like graphic torture interrogation sequences. Like you can dangle them off ledges, put them into machinery using like different hazards and stuff like that, and those get you like bonus points, and it's just overall just fun to explore that. So extremely violent and satisfying for fans of the Punisher. This is a must-own game. It's kind of this like power fantasy with over-the-top brutality. There's no stealth here, you know, but you got to go in just guns a-blazing. Such a brutal game, but such a fun game as well. Highly recommended. Up next is a cool one, Conker Live and Reloaded, and this one has become even more rare despite the fact that it is backwards compatible. The game itself, if you just want the original Xbox game, is pretty expensive. I also think that this game might be delisted digitally, although you might be able to still get it through Rare Replay. But it's a third-person platformer, kind of shooter hybrid, and of course was done by Rare, and it was a visually enhanced remake of a Nintendo 64 game, Conker's Bad Fur Day, with updated graphics, re-recorded music, and some gameplay tweaks and stuff like that. And it also had a brand new Xbox Live multiplayer mode, which unfortunately is obviously no longer available, but it was quite fun at the time. I think it kind of fell on deaf ears, though. This wasn't a game that did well on the N64 or the original Xbox. But if you didn't know, Conker is like this foul-mouthed alcoholic squirrel who wakes up very hungover after a night of drinking, and his goal is just to get back home to his girlfriend, but he gets kind of dragged into a series of weird misadventures across the world, and it's got like a lot of crude humor, movie parodies, all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those games definitely for adults, and it does kind of jump between genres and tones, from platforming to kind of you know, peaceful escapades in fields. There's horror elements, there's war sequences, there's, you know, one of them is kind of, one of the areas is kind of inspired by the Matrix. So the narrative is pretty irrelevant, but irreverent, but honestly, it's really filled with like the crude humor, sex jokes, stuff that probably would get somebody canceled in today's world, you know, but it's still a blast if you like that kind of stuff, and I do. You know, it's just a lot of fun. The game itself is going to take you probably between 10-12 hours, something like that, to beat, and that's going to be a really good amount of time spent in this game. You know, it doesn't stick around too long, thankfully. You know, it's got platforming, combat, it's got, you know, actions that you can do that are going to like help you get to the checkpoints and continues and stuff like that. Jumping, swimming, and the combat kind of starts off with the light melee, and then it actually shifts into a more heavy-based third-person shooter, which is pretty cool as well. So it does do the very game style, like I said, third-person shooter elements. There's vehicles, there's boss fights, there's 3D platforming and puzzles, and you know, it's really just an extremely M-rated game for like that type of gamer. So if you know what to expect, you're definitely going to be enjoying it. It's actually quite a beloved game for the very good writing, which is hilarious. It's got a lot of variety and a willingness to be offensive. It doesn't really care who it's pissing off, which I think is really awesome in today's day and age. And so yeah, it's got great visuals and things like that. I can feel a little bit dated with some of the controls and stuff, but overall, just a blast to jump in and play. Hey, I want to take a second out to say if you're enjoying this video or any of the videos on my channel, please like, share, comment, and of course subscribe. Those things help the videos to be seen, they help the channel to grow, and that keeps me motivated to keep making more videos. I love interacting with you, so feel free to comment, and I always respond. So if you make a comment, I'm going to respond, and I like hearing from you guys. If you guys have video ideas or recommendations, whatever, I like hearing that, so thank you guys so much for all the support. Next up is one of my favorites, and that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know it sounds weird, but this is actually a fantastic game, and it's a game that I think everybody should play and everybody should have a good time with, especially if you're a fan of the game. Now, this is an exclusive that I believe is still exclusive to the original Xbox, and it's just a fantastic single-player game. It's like an adventure beat-em-up, and it's got some voice acting from most of the original TV series cast, excluding Sarah Michelle Gellar, but the voice actress who's doing Buffy is like a dead ringer, sounds just like her, and does such a good job with this. So the story is actually set during season 3 of the TV show. There's this Order of Aurelius that's in there, attempts to resurrect the first season's bad guy, the Master, and you play as Buffy, kind of going up against all the bad guys. But the good news is there's help from this gang, but this isn't one that you're actually playing with. Like in the second one, which is Chaos Bleeds, and that one's on, like, I think GameCube and PlayStation 2 as well, you play as other characters. This one's just Buffy, but other characters are in this game, but you don't play as them. There's Willow, Xander, Giles, Angel, Spike. Everybody kind of makes an appearance, which is really cool. Now, the plot stays very faithful to the show, and it's got a good mix of a mix of humor and lore and the witty dialogue that this show is really known for. So it's really cool at the end of the day. It's just one of those things where you're fighting hordes of vampires and demons, kind of progressing through the levels, which are a little bit linear in the way that they're designed, but it's still fun, and you do collect items and complete objectives to advance the story. There's like hand-to-hand combat fighting, there's different kicks, punches, jumps, and combos, and there's also a variety of weapons that you can get, like the stakes, shovels, axes, poles, and there's even ranged weapons like the crossbow, and a lot of weapons break, and you have to, and they'll degrade through time, so you'll have to be able to kind of get new ones. And you have special moves, finishing moves, temporary power-ups that really emphasize you as the powerful Slayer. There's basic platforming, climbing, there's puzzles, but it's very light puzzles, so it's not really something that's going to take you a ton. It's a solid challenge, but it's not too bad. You're going to be able to beat it in probably 10 to 12 hours. And, the camera can be a little bit weird and wonky at times, but still just a very fun game. It's one of the best licensed games on the original Xbox, in my opinion, and it's probably the best game based around Buffy the Vampire Slayer that you can find. So if you are a fan and you like the series and you like kind of beat 'em ups like this, vampires, all that kind of stuff, you'll definitely want to give it a try and like pick it up and play it. The other cool thing is this game is actually backwards compatible on an Xbox 360, not a newer one like an Xbox One or Series, but a 360, and you can get better graphics and stuff by playing it that way. So fun and win-win. Up next, one of my favorites on the original Xbox, and that is Jet Set Radio Future, and this one's becoming very increasingly hard to find as a standalone game. I think you can find it sometimes in the dual pack, but overall just being able to kind of find it in the standalone is becoming more expensive, and that's a bad thing, but it's still such a fantastic game. The cel-shaded action platformer is really just a phenomenal game that was called Jet Grind Radio on the Sega Dreamcast. So I'm a big Dreamcast fan, and so this is just one of those things that I love, the fact that Xbox got certain kind of exclusive games when it first came out. PlayStation got some exclusives too. It was like kind of divided, but I really like this game a lot. Basically, the game follows this rebellious kind of crew of inline skaters who use graffiti as a form of expression and, of course, rebellion. That's a little bit cliche by today's standards, but was fun for the time. And it really kind of mixes some lighthearted fun with, like, themes of rebellion and anti-authoritarianism and things like that. So I kind of dig it. I think that it's a fun game because it's an early game with open world action, with like skating and graffiti and exploration. There's multiple large districts connected by a hub, which really works well. You can kind of skate freely around. There's vertical environments. You can perform tricks, grind rails, and the grinding and stuff really reminds me of Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox One. Like, I don't know, there's just something about that. The way you move in this game definitely reminds me of that game. So you got to spray the tag billboards, rival tags, large murals, kind of tagging. Basically requires you to collect spray cans all around, sometimes involving timing or positioning, and you can like spray over rival gangs tags as well as like a main thing that you're going to be doing. So there's also different collectibles and hidden tapes and secret areas that you can kind of get into that really make it worthwhile. The game used to have some sort of local split screen, which you can still use if you're able to, but I'm not sure if they work anymore in terms of, I don't think this ever had any multiplayer, so just checking the box. Yeah, I don't think so. So but because of the way that it was cel shaded with like the kind of cartoon graphics and the soundtrack and stuff like that, it really still looks incredible even by today's standard. As you can see, it's got like this really good sense of speed and freedom, great art direction and level design, some addictive gameplay. One of the best and most stylish games on the original Xbox. Could be a little bit of camera issues if you're looking for like one slightly negative thing to say, but overall it's just a blast to play and just one of the better games that you can get on the original Xbox. But if you ever do come across it, pick it up for sure. Next up is another one of my favorites, and that's Simpsons Road Rage. And I know what you're thinking, why not put Hit and Run? And to be honest with you, I was going to do Hit and Run, but the problem was I went to go clean my game disc and it broke. So yeah, that's a little bit of an unfortunate type situation. So I guess I'm gonna have to go grab another one. But yeah, the game is, you know, expensive. The Simpsons games are amazing, and you know, I'm a big Simpsons fan, so you know, I love these games. But this is like an arcade style racing game, and what's cool about it is it's basically Crazy Taxi, but featuring the cast and the world of the Simpsons, which makes it immensely better than Crazy Taxi, just in my humble opinion. So basically, Mr. Burns has purchased all Springfield's public transit systems and replace the buses with radioactive nuclear buses that are kind of polluting the town. So you got to take matters into your own hands by using your personal vehicles as taxis to earn money, and the goal is to raise $1 million to buy back the transit system from Burns. It's really kind of a lighthearted thing, but it does have Simpsons humor, and it's got the full voice acting cast from the show, which is phenomenal. And you know, it's got arcade driving. There's, you know, the Simpsons has like a lot of different areas. It's got like the entertainment district, downtown Springfield Mall, the nuclear power plant, Evergreen Terrace, of course. You pick up passengers, deliver them to their destination as quickly as possible. There are some time limits and aggressive traffic, so you have to kind of keep on the lookout for that, but it's not too bad. You know, it should be easy enough to kind of pick up and play. There's different playable characters as well. You can start with Homer. There's also Bart. There's Marge and Lisa, and the cool thing about Marge is, you know, she's using the Canyon Arrow, which is always a plus. I love the Canyon Arrow. Anyway, yeah, like I said, it's, you know, you can take shortcuts. There's big jumps. There's boosts. There's all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's got a road rage mode, which is like the main campaign. You earn money to kind of unlock content. There's time attack, and as well as collectibles and hidden areas that you can kind of get into. So the game really does do a good job of capturing the chaotic, colorful energy of Springfield. Bright visuals, great voice work, fun to pick up and play. It's got a lot of humor and accessibility. Can get a little bit repetitive at some points, but overall, if you're a classic Simpsons fan, you're gonna love this game. It really holds up incredibly well, and you know, like I said, it's just a lot of fun to kind of jump into and play, and it's something different. And even if it is as much expensive as, you know, a current generation game, what's wrong with buying something for that price that's older and way better, in my opinion, than something new that's going to kind of stink? I don't know. That's the way I look at it. You didn't think I'd kind of let you guys get off without doing, you know, a Simpsons video or a quote, right? Which was the style at the time.
So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time.
And last but not least, seldom talk about game, but this one's also an Xbox exclusive that is, I believe, still tied to the Xbox. Toejam Earl 3, but I love this game. It's absolutely a blast to play. If you've never played it, go ahead and play it. It's called Mission to Earth, Toejam Earl 3, of course. It's a third-person action adventure game developed by. This was actually published by Sega, though, which is an interesting thing looking at the box. And this is like obviously the third one. Now, I love Toejam Earl 1, and I also love 2 on the Genesis. They were awesome. It was cool because the Genesis version, the first game, was awesome, where you play it with a friend or whatever, and it's kind of the top-down thing. Part 2 switched to side-scrolling kind of platformer, which equally is awesome, even though it was different. And this one kind of goes to like the third-person action-adventure style of game. So there's Toejam Earl and Letitia, who is the new alien, as well, and the albums were taken to Earth, causing an imbalance in funk across the universe. So you got to explore, spread funk to humans, of course, and battle the forces of anti-funk, of course, to restore the balance. So it's very lighthearted and silly, and it's got a lot of like 70s hip-hop funk and humor. It's got goofy dialogue, cartoony kind of things, but it still looks and plays great. Multiple worlds and hubs as well. Explore like the different areas. There's a lot of hazards in the environments. You collect items, interact with Earthlings, and complete the goals, managing like your health and resources and stuff like that. So there's maze-like levels that are kind of filled with different secrets and traps and random events. And you've got to search for like keys and presents and money while avoiding or kind of more or less dealing with the dangers at hand. There's different power-ups, randomized, of course. So some are hilarious or harmful. Spring shoes, rocket skates, you know what I'm saying? There's different weapons, health, or bad surprises like turning you into a snowman. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Overall, each character kind of brings their own slightly different special moves and variety into the game as well. And again, I think there's a certain thrill to playing this game with a partner, right? So it's still got the bright cartoony graphics, great funky music. It blends like the free roaming exploration of the first Toejam Earl with some of the structured objectives from the sequel. This wasn't a huge success, but kind of a cult classic and one that's almost impossible. I don't think I've ever seen this one in the wild lately in years. So if you ever do come across it, pick it up. It's a blast to play. I absolutely love this game. So there you have it, some fantastic Xbox games that are a little less common overall. So if you ever do come across them, go ahead and pick them up and let me know what some of the games are that you guys have on Xbox. I love hearing it in the comments and seeing your guys' response. And I love putting together these types of videos. And overall, just it makes it kind of fun. I'm, like I said at the beginning of the video, I love the thrill of the hunt for these games, and I love hearing the feedback as well. So let me know some of your favorites. I'll catch you next time. Be kind to each other in the comments, and as always, game on, my friends. Game on.